Okay, so good morning, everyone. This is the webinar about the second open call of EUROBENCH. The goal of this webinar is to provide you with information about the project and this call, so you can be well prepared to prepare your proposal. In the second part of this webinar, I will be available to answer all your questions. This will also be useful for us because new questions can be included in the fact section of our website. So you will also contribute to this to make it everything more clear. Okay, let's start. The first part will be a summary of the project, and then I will explain in detail all the documents that you should know in order to prepare. Okay, so this is basically the motivation of the EUROBENCH project. We are in the era of cobots. Robots are massively reaching physically people in our everyday life activities in many application domains. This is a very good opportunity for robotics and for society in general, and this is also perceived by the recent forecasts about how robots and cyber robots will be expanding in the next years, and these are all positive. There is one main question that is yet to be answered, is whether all these robots will be meet our expectation, our needs. We have a lot of video out there that can generate a lot of expectations, but actually we have no numbers on these. This video can qualitatively show the performance of the system, but not on a quantitative way. What we need are quantitative indicators, and in other words, more technically, we need benchmarks. Why benchmarks? So benchmarking is a field that's not new in general, but is in robotics, we are just at the beginning of this. Benchmarks basically are reference standards on which system can be compared with. And this will allow to assess the system in a quantitative and impartial way. Also, we allow users to compare different solutions, but also engineers to compare different solutions in order to identify which are the critical issue of a system. Having clear indicator from the very beginning of a research phase is very is needed, I would say, from the engineering, from the researcher, from the developer, from the company. So you can establish clear target in your development process. And last but not least, also benchmark can be used to demonstrate to, for example, funding agency that your system can work out of the lab, that you have improved certain level of technology readiness. In our project, actually at the beginning of our project, we identify which are the three main ingredients of benchmarking. The first one is having this testbed, what we call testbed, that are actually are physical replication of the condition that you can encounter in the real life. You can see here some testbed picked from the Cybertron competition. You can see a chair, obstacles, rough terrain, stairs, etc., etc. The important thing is this testbed that we consider that they should be also sensorized to allow quantitative measure on site. And then the second ingredient of benchmarking is the availability of metric, but actually physically then they are coded into what we call benchmarking algorithms that are able to extract these what we call performance indicators from the data that are measured during the trials in this testbed. In this part, we also include the protocols because, of course, metrics should be calculated with experiments that can be conducted in different laboratories to allow for comparison between systems. Independently from the system itself and independently from the measurement system that is in one or the other laboratory. So this establishment of clear and shared protocols is a very important part of our project. All these are, the goal of this metric is to calculate what we call system abilities, which have been proposed by the multi-annual roadmap in robotics, which are basically a kind of classification of the different aspect of capability of a system. And the third part is data set. Of course, we need data set because if we want to compare system, we need to have normative reference data. And one of the goal of the EUROBENCH is to have this unified database that will allow different system, similar system, to be stored. So the performance of this system to be stored in one location, so people can compare this different system or compare your system with the mean standard deviation of all similar system tested in that, for example, in stairs or in any other condition you may be interested in. The expected outcome of this benchmarking ecosystem is to allow developers to demonstrate robot performance on one side, but also allow the users to choose the right robotic solution. So these metrics are, should also be understandable for non-technical users. So in the same way you are going to choose one mobile phone with respect to another, in the future you can choose one exoskeleton with respect to the other, depending on your needs. As you may know, for sure you know, this EUROBENCH has two open calls. We are in the second one, but the first open call was aimed to help us in building up these three ingredients. So what we have done is we have launched this call, and then we have selected 17 projects that each of these is now finalizing the development of the test bed, of these metrics, and also data sets. You will see more in a moment. What we would like to achieve now at the end of this year is to have two completely operative testing facilities, one for humanoids robotics, which will be in Genoa in Italy, and one for wearable robots, which will be in Spain, in Madrid. On the other side, we are also developing a benchmarking software, which is the core of the benchmarking ecosystem, because it will allow to store the data and also make automatic calculation of this data and report about the performance level of the systems. The advantage of this benchmarking software is to allow anyone to perform tests in their own lab. So you don't need to go to the facility. You can do the test in your lab if you have the test bed that you require. It is also a way to boost international collaboration, so people can use closely or comparable test beds all over the world. So with the to improve the standardization of the experiments. This is a snapshot of some of the 17 projects. I apologize for the ones that are not here, but this is another slide from some months ago. And this is just to show you that there are several aspects that we are covering. And you can see here that each of these sub-projects, each box is developing hardware, software, data. Some of these are not developing some of the parts, but most of them are fully covering one scenario from all perspectives. What we are doing right now, actually we'll start in October, November, is to integrate all these outcomes into these two testing facilities. You can see here the designs of the two testing facilities. So you can see that here it would be, let's say, fully equipped laboratory in which you can do, let's say, a wide range of tests. And also we are developing this benchmarking software, which is at beta level, in which you can first choose the protocol that you are interested in. You can perform the experiment either in your lab or in the facilities. You can upload the experimental data that you recorded, and then this data will go in a repository, and then there will be these algorithms that will compute the PIs, which are the performance indicators. And with these PIs, you have your report on your system that you can compare with all the other systems that have been previously tested and stored in our repository. This is a previous version of the front end of the application. Now it's even more attractive than before. So all of you that will be funded will be using this. So so this is the past. Now we are going to do the present, in which we have these tools, and we will offer these tools to third parties interested in using them. And this is basically the object of this second open call that will start in April next year and will last 9 months. And now what we do is to select this project that want to use our EUROBENCH tools. Basically, you actually will become beta tester. So our final goal is to have a preliminary feedback from potential customers of this service, of the EUROBENCH service. And so we can improve the benchmarking tools and ecosystem, and we will do this with your help. On the other side, we are offering the use of this service at zero cost to all of you that would be funded. Actually, we are going to fund you to use them. And you can do in 3 options. The first option is to come to the facility with your robot, and all with your control algorithm, because we also have some platform that you can use there. And in this option, you can be funded up to 60 kilo euro per project. And basically the eligible cost will be mostly personal and travel and accommodation for staying up to 2 weeks of testing in the facility. Plus also some small amount of consumables if you need to do some testing. For example, if you're doing testing with humans, you can do, electrodes for EMG recording and so on. These 2 weeks can be done continuously if you want, but we prefer that you do these 2 weeks separated. So you have a pre-testing week. You can choose this week in a time window in the first 3 months. Then we require you to go back to your lab and do some improvements of your system, any improvement. And then you go back to the facility for another week of testing in another time window at the end of the project. Why we want to do this? Because we want to test the ability of our tools to grasp the differences in your system, the improvement of your system, or the worsening also your system. And what we expect from you at the end of the project is a usability report that will allow us to improve on our system. The second option is to perform the test in your own lab. As you know, as I said before, we will offer the EUROBENCH software, so you will be using the EUROBENCH software in your lab. And for this, you will be funded for maximum 30 kilo euro per project. And the eligible costs here are basically only personal, plus also some consumables, up to 15% of the total budget, to build a replica of the test. Of course, your replica would not be sensorized as what we have in a facility, because it would be cost too much. But you can do, for example, a wooden replication of the test bed, for example, a slope, stairs, or whatever. So you can perform your system in your lab. And then we have the option 3, in which you are not required to do any experiment, but we would like to involve people that have previously set up some data sets, And not only on robots but also only on humans, for example, healthy people, or also in pathologic conditions. Why? Because we would like to have these reference data sets to compare the system with humans. No? So if you have a data set, you should upload or convert the data format of your test bed, your data set into the EUROBENCH format. And also you can use the EUROBENCH software to process the data you have, because most of the data sets are not labeled, there is no calculation on top of them. So you can take the opportunity have some resources to do this. Eligible costs here basically are not only personal, and also if you are in a consortium, maybe 1 or 2 travels for meeting. But now this situation, maybe any meetings are not required anymore. Then submission. You know that that this call will open now. It's September 1st, and we close on the 30th of November. The start of the experiments will be in April, so we'll be having some time windows to also adjust your proposal and to prepare the ethical approvals and whatever to start the experimentation. And the duration is 9 months. One very important thing that you have to consider is that the evaluation process is done on a first come, first serve policy. This means that there will be no ranking list. As soon as your proposal is submitted, it's evaluated in chronological order of submission. And if it meets some thresholds, it will be directly funded. Okay. So the timing here is crucial. So the sooner, the better. Okay, this is the list of the benchmarking scenario that are covered by EUROBENCH. You can see here a complete list, and this is included in the guide for applicants. And also, many of these are applicable to all technology, and also to humans. But in other cases, there are some scenarios that are only applicable in one condition. Okay. When I say here that it's applicable not in one condition, I'm considering that for option 1. So that the facility of humanoids will only have this, and the facility of wearable robots are only this. But this does not preclude that if you want to make an experiment in your own lab, can take overcoming obstacle and do this in the exoskeleton, okay? Because we have the performance indicators, but we don't have the physical test bed there. But if you want to have it, if you want to build it, you can do it in your own lab. Anyway, I will not go into much detail in this because it will be too lengthy to talk about everything, but that's why we put a document in our website. You have here this EUROBENCH benchmarking scenario, in which each of these is described in detail. You can see the protocols there, the performance indicator. Not too much in detail, but at least it will give you an idea of the kind of experiment you can do. Okay. Let's consider that this document will be a living document. We provide now that version of the document, but in the meantime we will improve it. So if you have questions, maybe we can also provide you with more indications on a specific scenario. Okay, now we go more deeply into how to prepare the call. I would like to explain you about the variation that are allowed. You know, we have these 3 options. So in option 1, we will offer a kind of measurement system. We have a Vicon system, we have inertial measurement system. But if you need to, or you want to use any other measurement system or any other components, you can also bring then that to the facility. No? But please, the costs for their development are not eligible. Okay, if you want to bring something on top of this, you have to take it on, you have to afford it. In the option 2, which is make the experiment in your own lab, the testbed, as I said, should be should be very simplified version of the testbed. But the testbed can also be structural parts of buildings. For example, if you have already some stairs in your building, you can maybe use that stairs. We are flexible. We are not required you to exactly replicate what we have, because we would like to have this benchmarking framework to be used all over the world. So we have to be flexible in this. I remind you that all these consumables needed for these developments cannot exceed the 15% of the entire budget request. The same way that I say to you that this is a living effort, you can also propose new algorithms. You know, we have set of basic algorithms in our software, but if you are, for example, developing a new algorithm to evaluate stability of your system, please talk with us because we can include that algorithm in our software, or in any way you can use it. Okay, on your own, you can apply anything on top. You will be actually not only beta tester of this framework, but also collaborator. So we are all researcher or developers, so we can really collaborate to make this even better. So the basic in the concept is that we will be flexible. Okay, but it's important that you motivate your choice, your proposal in the same proposal draft. Now, what robotic technologies you can test? So the framework is basically focused on these three technology: exoskeleton, prosthesis, and humanoid bipedal robots. Important that you can, for exoskeleton prosthesis, you can bring a powered or unpowered solution, and for lower limb exoskeleton, you can have any kind of exoskeleton, but they should at least involve some part of the lower body. So you can even go back to the lower back support exoskeleton, which there is something also on the thigh, and all should be ambulatory. So locomat based are not accepted. Then we have lower limb prosthesis, also here any kind basically of prosthesis, and like the robots, you can have a fully humanoid also, or some bipedal or even monopodal robots. Okay, please consider that our benchmarking framework is focused on testing the ability in different scenarios. Okay, so if you have a monopodal robots, it should be something that can, let's say, do something not only on standing, attach it to an external structure. Okay. Anyway, even we have focused on this basic technology, we also want to extend our framework to other types of technologies. That's why we dedicate a certain amount, 10% of the total budget, to other categories like multi-legged robots, for example, quadruped or hexapods. Also to upper limb exoskeleton, so something that is not involving anything from the lower limbs. So I'm thinking about, for example, this industrial exosuit used to manufacturing logistics scenarios, and even wheeled robots. That's why, because we consider that our conditions are able to address the performance also of these. These are the robotic technologies that are excluded. So these are stationary devices like locomat or MEO or similar, industrial manipulators. So these are not accepted. and also robots that are only in simulation environment. Okay, we will provide also some simulation environment, most of all for the humanoids part, but you should also have the physical counterpart. And if you don't have a physical robot platform, you can use the platform that we have. So in the Wearable Robots facility, we have the H3 exoskeleton from Technite, and you can implement your own control algorithm in this exoskeleton. And in the Humanoids facility, I have the RIMC from Power Robotics. Let's consider one important thing, that these devices, they have their own control algorithm, and these control algorithms are able to do something, but not everything. Like for example, in exoskeleton, the current control algorithm can only perform straight walking on a flat ground. So if you want to use that exoskeleton in stairs, for example, you have to develop your control algorithm. And now we are developing a ROS-based interface, so you can make this control in ROS and directly implement in this exoskeleton. And similarly for RIMC, there is a link in the guide for applicant in which you can see what RIMC can do, and if you want to do something that is out of the scope, so you can implement your own algorithms and bring it to the RIMC. About the budget, these are the limits. This is the available budget for the entire call. We have €2 million to distribute. The maximum per participant, and yes, it's €60 for each call. Okay, and the limit across all proposal, so including first call, second call, is €100 per participant. So this maximum per participant is maximum per participant per call, but if you want to participate in two proposals, you can do it. So if, for example, you want to participate in option 1 and option 2, and you can do it. But you have participated in FSTP-1 and you already have been granted with, let's say, €90, you can still participate, but only up to 10 in order to not overcome this limit. If you have already reached this limit because you have been funded by 100 in the first call, or if you are from non-eligible countries, like for example, you are from US, you can still be participating in a consortium. You cannot receive any money, but you can still participate as non-funded entity in a consortium applying to this call. We are also using some cumulative budget thresholds that are used to prevent that, like for example, you consider that in the first week we receive tons of proposals all on humanoids. Okay, so we don't want to have only the humanoids part already. We don't want to spend all these 2 million only on humanoids. So what we are doing is to reserve the 40% of the budget to each technology. This is not scenario, is technology. So this means that even if we receive a lot of proposals on humanoids, we reserve 40% for wearable robots until November 1. So when we reach November 1, we take out all this limitation, and so we start again to take in order or chronological order all these proposals on the humanoids part. Okay. What does it mean? That means that your proposal could be evaluated very good, but if there were a lot of previous proposals on the same technology, we may say, okay, you are in the waiting list until November 1. And if there is still budget available for that category, you will be funded. If you have any question, then at the end of this, on my presentation, you can ask. As I already said, the cost for consumables is maximum 15%. Okay, let's talk about the eligibility from applicants. You can participate individually. or as part of a consortium. It's up to you. If you choose to participate with a consortium, your consortium can be partner from the same country. So you don't have to have like this, the typical 3 different countries. You can be all from the same country. We ask you to register in the participant portal with a PIC number. This is very easy. You will never submit your proposal through the participant portal. We will submit with our application, okay? But we need to have this PIC number. You cannot request funding if you're being already funded for the same activities. So this is a principle of no double funding. So you have to respect this principle. Applicants can participate in more than one proposal, as I say to you, but you cannot overcome this limit. The applicant cannot be funded for the same option and category. What does it mean? If you are going to wearable robots for option 1, so you want to go to the facility, you can only be funded in one proposal. So you cannot ask 2 proposals going to the wearable robot facility. Okay, we make this because we want to allow as much as possible diversity of participants. So we want the same to apply for this, and this apply for all the option 2, option 3. So if you want to apply for different proposal, please choose different option. One proposal for option 1, another proposal for option 2, and even a third proposal for option 3. Okay, there is a link in for a list of countries that are eligible. Please check if you are an eligible country. If you are not, as I said before, you can still be part of the consortium, but you cannot receive funding. It's important also that all the consortia should contain at least one eligible partner. So if you want to make a consortium with 3 US partners, you cannot. You have to have some US partner and one that is eligible. Otherwise, we cannot sign a grant agreement, and there is no funding, and it's not possible. Okay, then we have also in the 3 documents that that are in the website. So there's the guide for applicants, the description of scenarios, and there is this proposal template. Everything is written there. I would like just to focus on some points on this. So the template can be a maximum 8 pages. So be concise. These are the different sections. There is one section of motivation, objectives, and impact. Here, the important thing is just to convince that you need the EUROBENCH tools, okay, for you, for your company, and even if you want to say that this is also beneficiary for the society, you can also write. But the important thing is that we want people that really need this. So don't come here and propose, I want to do flat ground experiment that can be done in your lab, and you want to go to the facility because there is no clear motivation to go to the facility. Okay, the experimental protocols. Here, the main goal, we want you to use the EUROBENCH tools. That's why we want you to select one of the scenarios, more than one scenario in your EUROBENCH. Because consider that it may come the situation in which we have a lot of proposals, all of them want to test in one scenario, for example, stairs. But we want also to open and validate also the other scenario. So we ask you to make a list of 5 scenarios, at least, in order of relevance. So if you have chosen stairs as the first one, but many other people have chosen these stairs, we can ask you to take the other one, the second, the third, the fourth. Okay, so please carefully choose this scenario. Of course, and this is another motivation to submit before, the first proposal submitted will have a full acceptance on the scenarios, because there will be no previous funded proposal. You also are asked to choose the protocols that we are offering in each of these scenarios. There are already some protocols there, but if you have in mind a different protocol, you can also propose this different protocol. You have to describe this protocol. There is an annex in the proposal template in which you can describe it. Please specify also the number of subjects you want to test, what to use in the testing. This in the case of exoskeleton. In the case of humanoids, there will be no human subjects. Okay. Make a realistic estimation. We consider that in one operative day of testing, we can measure one person over a maximum of 3 scenarios. Okay, so if you have 1 week, you can please consider also there will be 1 day of preparation, maybe 1 day of unexpected problems. So my suggestion would be to consider 3 to 4 subjects. Okay. If everything goes smooth and wonderful, we can also offer some subjects if you need, but please also try to bring your subject to the tests, because also the subject is better that are trained. Otherwise, you lose time for trained subject. Your performance indicator will be not very realistic, because you know if this depends on the pilot that is not trained and so on. So the best thing is that you bring your subject. Of course, if you have difficulties, we can adapt, okay? But please try to follow this. Similarly, as said before, you can propose new performance indicator, new algorithms that you are not finding in the list, in the current list. So please specify, well, I would like to calculate this, and maybe we can also help you in including this algorithm into our EUROBENCH software, so also other people can use that. You have to provide a description of the system test, also provide a figure, because it's explanatory, and do it as, so provide us with as much information as possible to know which test system is tested. About the confidentiality, ethical and legal issues, we received some question on the ethical approvals. Now let's clarify. In the option 1, which is experiments in the facility, the local ethical committees should provide approvals. Okay, this means that if you go, for example, to Spain, which is where would be experiments with human will be done, we will have our local ethical committee. So your experiments, if is an experiment of EUROBENCH, we already are doing our process of ethical approvals, in which we have to add your description of the system. In the case you are proposing a new experiment, after you are approved, we have to work with our ethical committees to make this approval. Okay, so in the drafting of the proposal, you don't need to include the ethical approval. Okay, but you have to include just the description of the protocol. This is a new one. Then there is a section of work plan, milestone, and deliverables. For option 1, what we need is to actually to all options in the guide for applicants, there is a specification of which are the deliverables that you have to the minimum mandatory deliverables that you have to produce, that are basically deliverables on data collected and processed, basically, and the final usability report that we are asking to all of you. But of course, you can add more if you need. Okay, so check the guide for applicants for the kind of deliverables. Also, you have to describe in detail the budget, okay, in which categories, and so we can check. And also you have an extra, so one page out of these 8 in which you can describe the consortium or the partner, which is which is participating. So the evaluation process, as I said, is based on this first come, first serve policy. There will be no ranking list. For each proposal, we assign 2 experts. One expert will be external to your EUROBENCH consortium, and another expert will be internal, avoiding any conflict of interest. Okay. And these are the evaluation criteria in which, according to which each proposal will be evaluated. The first is the relevance of motivation objectives and impact. There will be sub criteria which are included in the guide for applicants. I did not include this there. Important thing is that these will weight 25% on the total score, and the threshold of this is 3 out of 5. So the maximum is 5, and the threshold is 3. The threshold are very important because if you don't meet this threshold in each of these criteria, will not be funded. Okay. The second criterion is compliance with EUROBENCH tools and services. The third is feasibility of implementation, and the effort, exploitation, and sustainability of results. Okay, so each of these criteria has the same threshold, the same weight. This is the formula to come up from the maximum of 20 to a maximum of 15 to stay in line with the normal scoring done by European Commission. And the global threshold is 10. Okay, so in order to be funded, you have to overcome both thresholds, 3 for each of these criteria and 10 in the global one. And the evaluation outcome there are 3 possibilities. The first is that you are rejected because you are below the threshold. And then there is another that is accepted conditionally, in which kind of like in the papers, you would be a minor or major modification requested. You have 2 weeks. Typical reason for modification would be that, for example, that scenario has been already covered by many others, so you are requested to choose another one, or there will be maybe the experimental protocol is not very detailed, so please improve this description and so on. So minor other change that can be changed in 2 weeks. Okay, so if you do this change in 2 weeks, your priority will be maintained. If you are submitting to this the second version after 2 weeks, you lose your priority. Okay, so if there are other proposals in the meantime submitted, you will be evaluated after that. And the third one will be accepted as is. Okay, so I think it's everything, and now there is time for question and answer. So I'm here to try to answer all your doubts.
Hello, Diego.
Hello, Iñaki.
This is Iñaki from CEIT, Research Center in Spain. I have 2 questions. I have read that you cannot submit 2 proposals to the same option, right?
Yep.
But it's, I mean, you can be funded, but can you submit? I mean, I submit 2, so maybe I have more chances with one or the other, and you obviously reject one. Hopefully
yes.
not both.
You can submit 2, but
okay.
If the first one is funded, you.
Yeah, that's perfect. And the second question is regarding the budget. So if this is the first time we submit, so we are going to call 2. Our maximum budget is 60K euros per option, or for the total?
No, in the total you have 100.
Okay.
So and then the maximum for each is already established: 60, 30, and 15. Okay. So you can apply to option 1 and 2, and even to 3. So not all the. You can also apply for less. So you can
Okay.
apply for option 1 for 50 instead of 60. Okay.
Okay. So thank you very much for everything. Now it's clear.
Okay. Thank you too for asking. Yes, there is your what? That there is hand. You can raise your hand then in the application. Your what?
Okay, hello Diego. Thank you for
Hello.
the excellent presentation. Just one question. Do we need to have like the system tested as a developer, or we can have as a third-party evaluators for example, system? This is the number one question. The second one is the system must be active or passive?
The second one, it could be any option, could be active or passive. So it's completely free, up to you. You can even bring different solutions. So you can bring 2 or 3 exoskeleton, 2 or 3 humanoids, and want to test all of them, okay, in one option. This is an important thing, and maybe I didn't, it's not specified. If you have 3 systems, you don't have to make 3 proposals. You can have 1 proposal on the 3 systems, okay? And the first question is not clear. Can you rephrase, please?
Yes, the first question is that if, for example, there is a third-party evaluator who don't have their own exoskeleton, but they own some of the exoskeleton from the, for example, let's say some of the companies own one exoskeleton and they would like to test that exoskeleton. Is there this possibility, or we should be a developer of a technology as well?
No. You can buy if you bought as an end user a device and you want to bring them, you can do, of course, because you can test it as a user. So you don't have to be developer.
Okay, it's clear. Thank you very much.
Okay. Carlotta.
Hi, hello, can you
Hello.
hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thank you very much for the useful presentation. So I would be part of a consortium, and I would be the non-funded part. My question is, because I have 2 collaborators with which I would like to make 2 consortium and submit 2 different proposals. And these 2 collaborators are eligible, I've already checked. But then, does it mean that these 2 consortium, where I am let's say I am a partner in each of them, are these 2 consortium considered 2 different, let's say, participants to the call, and therefore they would be required to submit to the same options? I don't know if the question is clear. I can try to.
For example, you want to make it more concrete. Which options you want to participate?
So that's to be decided.
Okay.
But for example, if I belong to consortium A and B, I belong to both. Does consortium A and B have to choose the same option? Because before you said that the same participant can submit 2 proposals, but they have to be from different options. But if it's a consortium, and there are 2 different consortiums, then I was wondering if they could apply to the same options.
So the important thing is that if you are a partner, you are not applying to the same option. Okay. For example, if consortium A want to go for option 1 wearable robots, okay, and the consortium B want to go to option 1 wearable robots, you cannot participate in both.
Okay.
Okay, but if these 2 consortium are applying to different options, no problem. But you, as your partner, you cannot go in two proposals which are applying to exactly the same options. And for the same category. So wearable robot option 1. So you have to choose.
Okay.
But when you have decided, you can write to me and say, okay, we want to do this.
Yes.
And I can say you if you can or not.
Okay. Thank you very much. And the second question is a little bit. I know it's unforeseeable. I was just wondering if you guys thought about with the COVID situation, if there is any backup plan for travel in option 1, just in case travel is limited. I know it's impossible to say, but
no, actually for option 1. We have the facility, so you have to make the experiments in the facility. We will think about this. One option could be that you ship the device, and we may do some testing, but let's say, I really don't know what will happen because you have to be on site to do this.
I don't know. Yeah, no, I understand it's really difficult and challenging. Just another last question. I want to understand better what personal cost means. So, for example, again, I'm in the consortium because I cannot be funded. Then, of course, I will not, for example, put in the budget, let's say, part of my own salary for sure. But for example, would my student also, like the personnel cost, does it have also to belong to the eligible institution, right?
Yes, of course, because you are paying that person, and the institution that is paying for that person should be eligible.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So it could be a researcher, a student,
yes.
or I don't know if there is any category limit of who can be funded. Like it should be a researcher or a professor. What
could be? I think any. Could be any. One thing that I didn't mention that this funding scheme, it's a lump sum. This means that you don't have to make any report of costs at the end. Okay, so basically we will give the money, and then you don't have to report to make a report on the costs at the end. Okay, so you are some let's say you are more free to choose how to spend this money. But of course, you cannot spend if you are not eligible country. You have
Yes. Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Whatever. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Francesco.
Hello, Diego. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you for your clear and useful presentation. Let's see if I am able to explain myself. The first question is similar to the one Carlotta said before. Is the limitation for the option valid for the same consortium, if I understand? But can I apply as a collaborator in two proposals for the same option? I mean, I will not be founded by collaborate with two.
Actually, this, I say this. Actually, this option we haven't thought about this. Actually, it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same question for Carlotta. No, so you are not be funded. You are collaborator, and you want to participate in two options for the same category. No, in which the Well, we have to, maybe we will write this down. We will talk internally in the steering committee because maybe it could be that the option that non-eligible country can go in different proposal, because the important thing is that the eligible ones are not.
Okay.
But let's think about this.
Oh, okay, because I think I will prepare a proposal and I will be coordinator, let's say. So I will be founded in one proposal, but I would appreciate the presence of my partners as collaborators.
Yeah.
So, you know, we have done some work together, so I would appreciate they could contribute.
Okay.
Okay. The second question is regards the test beds, the facility areas you were saying to select at least 5 scenarios. Okay. What does it mean at least? Because, for example, in my case, I was interested in 2 scenarios.
Okay, you put these 2 and say, okay, I won't like to do this.
Okay.
If for any reason these 2 scenarios have been already covered by many applications before, and you cannot allow me, these other 3 could be available to me, no? Because instead of simply say to you, you are not funded because this scenario has been already covered by too many before, we allow you to go there and test in another scenario. Let's say this is a kind of situation that if you apply in fast, maybe this will not happen. Okay.
Okay.
It's a kind of way for us to have a plan B for that proposal.
Okay.
Okay. But let's say also in that case, we can also maybe talk. It's not a strict rule. We don't want to make strict rule on this because we want to be flexible. But there could be, you can say, I'm only interested in these 2. Actually, if I cannot do these 2, actually it's useless for me to go there.
Okay.
You can, because it's the truth. But if you want, because many people in the pre-registration, for example, they selected a lot. So we think that for many applications, they will be, let's say, they are open to test in different conditions. So for this reason, we say.
Okay. Okay, I see. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you too, Francesco. Yuri.
Hi, Diego.
Hello.
Thanks for your presentation. I have 2 questions. The first one is about the budget, specifically if the generic consumable, I mean that is 50% of the total budget, can be used to optimize our exoskeleton before the test phase.
You can use in the option 1 the money to make improvements on your, so in this week before the first and second week, you can use personal cost to improve your system. In that case, yes. But cost to optimize your system before the first week, these are not
eligible. Okay.
Eligible.
Okay, the second one is related to the cohort of subject, because we have exoskeleton for pediatric subject. So we would like to understand if you think about enroll also children related to the ethical committee and similar. So if there are problems with this kind of court, or
yeah, let me check, because if I well remember, we said that children were not eligible. Let me check. So you will apply only if you can do tests with children, right?
We favorite kind of application is with this kind of schedule, but maybe we have think about every different point of view. but our first choice is with children. Yes.
Okay, you are going to bring subjects?
Yes, because we have some on and similar, so we can be able to bring with us subjects.
Okay, this is another thing that we have to check.
Okay.
Okay, we will check.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yuri. Okay, okay. There are also questions in the chat. Let me see if I see the chat. Because it is. Okay.
Yes, it was.
Yes, from Ramiro, no?
Yes.
Please, can you yes.
He asked if it is possible to conduct experiments focused on obtaining a CE marking, like for example, electronic one consisting on testing immunity to electronic disturbance.
No, we don't do, so far we don't do this kind of tests. We only do tests on performance on the system. There is one test also on testing the actuation mechanism. So it's not performance on a scenario, but it's on a test bench which measure the torques of the, but not this kind of CE marking. We would like to do it in the future, but not now.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Any other questions? No more questions. Okay. So if there are no more questions, thank you very much for participating in this webinar. Everything has been recorded and will be made available in the website. So also other participants can look at this. You can also share with your colleagues so they can use this information. Thanks again, and we are looking forward to receive your applications and hope to see when you are funded. Thank you very much.